With a better display, simple controls, and some unique features, the Fitbit Charge 5 has now officially launched, and I want to cover my unboxing and first impressions to see if it's something you can add to your home fitness. Now, I pre-ordered the Fitbit Charge 5 back on September 2nd of 2021, straight off of Fitbit.com. Now, the retail price on the site at the time was $179.95. However, after adding in Texas taxes, my total came out to $194.80 to buy this device. And after waiting a couple of weeks, it arrived on my front doorstep on September 23rd of 2021, which is actually a few days before the official launch, so I'm not quite sure why that happened, but they gave it to me early. And here is what you will receive once you go ahead and unbox the Fitbit Charge 5. First and most important is the Fitbit Charge 5 device, which is just the simple little square device that you can attach the wrist straps to. You will also receive two separate wrist straps, one being a large and one being a small. I personally wear the large because the small just barely fits around my wrist with only one little notch left, so I opted for the large in order to have some wiggle room when putting it on. You will of course receive a charging cable. Now this one is quite a bit different. It is magnetized, which is really nice, so it just magnetizes right on, and it is USB based, so I can plug it into my USB ports on my computer or into a wall outlet in order to charge it. Now it says it can charge pretty fast. I believe the battery lasts about 7 hours, which is pretty good overall. You will also receive the product information guide, a quick start little pamphlet, as well as a welcome to the Fitbit family insert as well. Now upon arrival, my Fitbit Charge 5 was dead, so I had to actually charge it from dead to full, which took about 2 hours for me. I didn't really watch it, so after about that 2 hour time, I took it off. It was at 100%, and now I'm doing my first initial testing to see how long the battery really lasts. So far it's been a few days and it has not died yet. So now it is time to jump in and check out the onboard apps to see what's actually on the device when you receive it. So just like the other Fitbit Charge devices, you have your on-screen dashboard, and it comes with the following items. You will of course get the steps, which is probably one of the most popular advertising points for these Fitbit devices. You will also see the distance counter on the device as well, so with your steps, it'll also try and track the distance that you travel throughout the day to see how far you've really gone. And with that, it'll also track your active minutes, which is essentially the 3 arrows pointing upwards. It tracks that amount of time and also gives you alerts throughout the day if you have it set to show you those to tell you when to get up and move around. You will also see the amount of calories you have burned throughout the day. Note, I do not think this is accurate for any of the prior devices. I still don't think this one will be that accurate as well, but does give you some type of insight to see how much you've moved or burned calories throughout the day. So as long as you use the same device, it should give you a rough estimate as where you can work from to move up or down with how much you need to eat in a day. You will also see your heart rate, so this is nothing new, as it will change throughout the day. Depending on what activity you're doing, it'll go up or down. But there's also a threshold you can put for high and low, and it can alert you if your heart rate's getting too high or below the allotted amount. And one of my favorite apps, which was on the Fitbit Charge 4 as well, is the sleep tracking. So this is on the device, and it can also be set as an alarm to help wake you up using a silent alarm and what's called Smart Awake, where it takes a 30-minute period, and within that 30 minutes, it tries to find where you're at your lightest sleep stage to help you wake up. It also tracks your blood oxygen saturation, which is your SpO2% level in the device. Now, I have not really worked with this at all, so it'll be interesting to see if it actually gives me some numbers I can work with. I don't think it's going to change my training or anything, just another metric I can use in case I want to see what that level is. But again, probably not something I'm going to care about too much. And lastly, you'll be able to see your exercise days. So I set mine to about 5 days total, since I'm doing right now an upper-lower split, which takes 4, and then I tend to go for walks throughout the week. So I just set to 5 to try and at least hit 5 active days out of 7. They don't have to be like straight weight training sessions, just that I'm active throughout at least 5 days of the week. So moving on, they also have payments, which was in the last one as well, but this is the first time I actually went into the Fitbit app on my phone, set up a credit card in there, so into my wallet on the device, and then had it sync over to my Fitbit in order to use. Now you will need a kiosk that has one of those signaling things to where you can actually use like a swipe, like a credit card swipe on it. I have not tested it yet, but if it does work, that'll be pretty cool if I like forget my wallet or something and I need to buy something on the go. You also have D&D or Do Not Disturb mode, which I have turned on, which basically just doesn't send you any notifications while you have your phone. Again, I'm someone who turns off all the extra notifications because they annoy me a lot, but maybe you want some of them to sneak through, so you don't want to turn on this setting if that is you. And then you have sleep mode as well. I believe this sends less items through, but it's basically just a notification suppression tool, just like the do not disturb is as well. So you can turn that on if you want even more things to not make it to you through those notifications. You also have screen awake settings, so I have this set to automatic, which means I can basically have this turn towards me and it will activate the device for me to look at. So it's kind of nice, but it can be battery draining if you're doing this like a lot during the day. It can keep turning on the face of your watch, draining your battery a little bit faster. So it's up to you, but I personally have it turned on. And then another item you have is what's called water locking. And I have not used this before, but essentially from what I understand it does is when it's activated, when you're doing things like swimming, it allows only a certain amount of buttons to be pressed on the device so that you can't accidentally turn something on or change a setting without you knowing. So it essentially helps you or prevents the ability for you to press the wrong buttons while doing a swimming activity. Now moving forward, we also have all of your notification settings. So again, for me, I have all of this turned off. I have a phone that annoys the crap out of me with way too many notifications as it is, so having it on my wrist as well is just annoying. However, if you are someone who needs the devices or notifications, maybe it's for work or you're trying to keep up on something else, then by all means turn it on. But for me, I have all of them turned off because my phone is rarely off of my body, so I get way more notifications than I care to deal with. And now on to probably my favorite section of the device is the exercise section. So I'm going to ramble off all the options you have with the Fitbit Charge 5 as one important one is missing. So of course you have your weights one. So this tries to attempt to track your weightlifting session, basing it like on your heart rate and how intense the activity is. It tries to estimate your calories, which again is probably wrong, but I like using it to see how long my workouts last and really see if I was getting a high enough heart rate and whatever my calories might be on the device. So next up is your bike riding, and this is the first one I'm going to talk about that uses the built-in GPS. However, I learned on a forum that I was reading that if you have your phone on you, it actually uses your phone's GPS in order to help save battery and then passes that to the Fitbit afterwards. So pretty interesting, but if you don't have your phone on you, it will use the onboard built-in GPS. Again, uses more battery, but allows you to not have your phone on you when doing something like doing an outside bike ride. And to play off that, the next one up is a running app. So if you're someone who goes outside and does running or jogging, again, it can track through GPS and can send it from your phone to your device or use just the device itself. So again, another way to kind of track and see a map of where you went, tracking your time, steps, calories burned, all that fun stuff while using the onboard GPS. The next exercise is swimming. I've never ever tested this on any of the devices as I don't really have a swim or lap pool. And when I go swimming, I really don't care to track how long it is. I just jump in the water and have fun. But if you're someone who competes in swimming, maybe you want to time things or whatnot, this is on the device so you can set it up and do that in your workouts. Our second to last one is the interval workouts. So this is where you can set a workout time and a rest period when you're doing your training. Maybe you're doing some kind of circuit or interval workout and you want to track it this way. This is on the device and you can choose it to have it track for you. And the last one we have is the treadmill. So I'm not really sure how this works as I don't have a treadmill in my home gym, but essentially I'm guessing you set a treadmill and it just tracks kind of how many steps you're taking in place, your heart rate in order to help gauge the calories burned and all that fun stuff that you see in the others just without the GPS. And the one that is missing that I really loved on the Fitbit Charge 4 but is no longer here is the walk activity. And I don't know why they got rid of this because I used to use it all the time when walking my dogs just to see how long I walked, and I'd get a map of where I actually walked to see that route, and maybe if I wanted to optimize it in the future because I want to maybe do more time or save time, whatever it might be, I like to actually look into those stats for some of my walking activities. I did just do my first initial test today with the device walking my dogs, and it did track it, but it didn't track the GPS mapping, so I might have to look into that to see if it will, or if maybe they remove that feature entirely. Again, this is still pretty new, so I could see this added in later, but it is a little bit upsetting to see that the walking activity was removed as of right now. And initially, all of these were out of the order I had them in my Fitbit Charge 4, so I jumped back into the app after switching to the Fitbit Charge 5, reordered them inside the app, and then synced it back to the phone, and now they appear as I want to. So yes, you can change the order of them based on your favorites or the amount of them you need. You can put them at the top of the list rather than always scrolling to the bottom. So under our next section, we have our alarms. Now this is where I set mainly my wake up alarms for work. So it is a silent alarm wake up. Basically it just vibrates on your wrist to wake you up. I did go over this before, but they have the Smart Awake, which essentially uses a 30-minute window based around your wake up time to try and get it so you wake up in a light stage of sleep so you're not all groggy as you're not in that deep sleep stage. So it's just a helpful way to get you to wake up in the morning based on your light versus heavy sleep. But if you have a significant other, I highly recommend the silent alarm wake up versus having your phone blast in your ear right next to you. Now under our next section, we have our timers. Now for me, this is really just like a stopwatch, but there are a few other timers you can work with. I rarely ever use this section, but maybe you're someone who wants to have something kind of like stopwatch timed or whatnot. And if that's you, feel free to go ahead and use this. But for me, it's something I really don't care about. And the last app on the device is what's called an EDA scan. Now the EDA scan stands for electrodermal activity, which from my understanding picks up electrical signals on your skin's level to see the overall stress of your body, then reports it back to the device. Now, this is the first time I've actually tested this, and I use the Fitbit Charge 5 to do it. And what you do is you take the device, you go into the app, start it, and you put your fingers on these two sensors on the side, and it attempts to, over a 3-minute period, mind you, find that electrical difference in your skin, and then relate back to the app and give you a reading from it there. Now for me, it didn't really give me anything workable initially, so I'm gonna try and keep going with it and see if maybe it can help with my stress levels. But for right now, it's not something I really care about, but maybe there's more to it in the future. All right, with all those out of the way, let's jump into our pros and cons list, starting with our pros. And again, this is very, very early on as I've only used it for a couple of days before shooting this, but let's take a look. First off, we have how comfortable the device is, and it is, wow, I'm blown away with how comfortable this device is on my wrist. I thought the Fitbit Charge 4 was comfortable. This is even better, especially this wrist wrap. It has a different way that you connect to it, and just how they did it, how this is all built, feels very good, and I've not wanted to take it off in the few days I've worn it. Next up, we have the color display, and this is a very, very big improvement in my opinion, especially the brightness overall. And I believe in their advertising, they said it's something like twice as bright as the Fitbit Charge 4, and it shows this thing. I don't know if you can see it on the screen there, not really, but the Fitbit Charge 4 was, in my opinion, okay in terms of brightness, especially out in the sunlight, where this device, it is just so much better and vibrant and right in your face, and I can easily, it just draws my eyes to certain colors on the screen, especially as I use it more, to really get the information I want faster, and that is what I am looking for. My next pro is that the responsiveness and intuitiveness of the actual programming and how you use it is very, very easy, especially if you've used one in the past. I was able to skip through and find things very, very quickly. Again, some items were actually removed where there are some new ones in its place, but even with that, I was able to quickly navigate through the device and set up everything as I wanted to within, I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes max. My next pro is that they just hacked out and got rid of the Spotify integration. Now before, it was simply just a song changer, so maybe you like to do that, but for me, I just thought it was a huge waste of space. I would still like them to add something in there, so they completely remove music at this time, so there's no option for music at all, but maybe they add something in where I can add maybe like an hour's worth of songs or audio or something. That'd be kind of cool, just so I had something in case I forgot my phone and wanted to listen on the go. But for right now, there's no music at all on this device, so that's a little hard to see, but it's a pro that I think they got rid of the Spotify control option. Now with the brightness of the screen, I noticed that there are a lot of clock faces you can actually get on the app right now. So if you go into the Fitbit app, look at your clock faces, there's quite a lot of them to choose from. And this is pretty cool to see right off the bat that they already have probably like 15 to 20 different faces you can pick. I'm just sticking with the standard because I think it's good enough for now, but who knows, as more come out, or maybe I just get sick of this one, maybe I'll change to a different one and see how I like that. And my last pro starting out is that you get 6 months of Spotify Premium right off the bat. Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I'm not someone who likes memberships, especially when it comes to fitness overall. It's one of the reasons I actually left the gym life before. It's why I don't buy any membership programs online. It's also why I bought the Renpho spin bike, and that doesn't have any memberships at all for their programs within the app. So I am excited to test the 6 months for one big reason. I'll get to that a bit later, but I'm not too happy about having to throw in my credit card at that 6-month period and then pay $80 if it doesn't all work out. So it's still something I'm looking at, but just know it does come with the 6 months free, so I'm ready to test and see how that goes. So one of the biggest reasons I was excited to look into the Fitbit Charge 5 was for the readiness score. This is something seen on other devices like the Whoop device, where essentially what it does is it tracks your stress levels from your workouts throughout the week and tells you if you are ready to work out or not, or if you still need more time to recover. This was something I really want to test, but at launch it's not available yet, but in their advertising they do have it as something that is coming in the future, so I'm excited to see if that does come. I just hope it's within my free trial period because it is listed as a premium option. So if this is something I don't want after it's launched, I'm going to drop premium pretty fast. My next con is there is a lot of glare on the screen while using it. So even in shooting some of the B-roll for this video, you can tell that there's a lot of glare from the lights I'm using around and trying to avoid it on the screen so you can see it, but that isn't nothing new. Now when I use it inside, for the most part, it's not too bad. I really only noticed it when filming, but it's still a con in my book, but maybe there are going to be some kind of screen protectors that are anti-glare that could help out with this. Another con is that the wrist straps, while super duper comfortable, are a bit harder to take on and off. So before, you could simply pull it through this loop and then take it off really quickly, and it had just a little notch here you could put the band through. Now you actually have a little piece that comes out from the behind band that you clip in, and then you put the rest of it underneath the band itself, so that stays in place. So you don't have this kind of end hanging off anymore that can get caught on things, which is good. It just takes longer to take it on and off. So really my only con here, I guess, is that it takes longer to get on and off if you need to charge it. But since that's every like 7-ish days according to their advertising, again, give or take how much you use GPS and other options, getting it on and off is just a pain in the butt. So maybe you shower with it every day. That could be a problem where it's annoying to take on and off, but otherwise, it's not that big an issue. Now, some other cons are the apps that were removed, and here are some that I think shouldn't have been removed that were. So first off, with the Spotify completely removed, there are now no music options at all. So I'm glad they removed Spotify, but I wish there was something we could do regarding music in terms of maybe having, again, like an hour's worth of music on the device, or doing something like syncing a small playlist onto it from Spotify or Pandora or something like the Ionic has. But right now, there's no music options at all. They also got rid of the weather app. Now, this is kind of weird. I don't care that there was an app itself. I just wish there was something to have the weather tracked on. So on my device, you can actually like tap it and click through different settings, and it gives you a little reading on the left-hand side as to how close you are to finishing them. I wish there was a thing you could tap to and see what the actual weather for the day was. Maybe I want to go out and run, I don't have my phone on me, I could just tap it and see like what the temperature and weather forecast was for the day, or what it is right now. But as of it stands, I can't do any of that because the app was completely removed for just the Fitbit Charge 5 as of shooting this video. And lastly, there's no guided breathing anymore, and that was like a big thing coming onto each one of the devices. So like a meditation thing, while it's still on the app side, they don't have it within the phone itself. So before on the Fitbit Charge 4, they had a little thing you could try and breathe and follow along with that expanded and contracted to like mimic breathing in and out, but now they don't have it at all. So I can see this be putting in later, but as of right now, at launch, it's not an option on the device. So again, each one of these apps could easily be put back into the device at any time in the future, but I'm doing it as it stands right now as to why it is a con, but I expect them to be added later on. So far, the Fitbit Charge 5 has held up to almost everything I've wanted it to be. It is a little pricey, coming in at that $180-ish mark before taxes, but with how much I'm going to use it, I think it'll be worth its money. As long as nothing crazy happens, like it turning off and I can't turn it back on, or things aren't connecting, GPS doesn't work, all of that stuff, as long as all of that's working as intended, this will easily replace my Fitbit Charge 4, and I hope that they add in those other apps pretty soon so I can really see what this device has to offer. And with that daily readiness score in the horizon, and probably my most sought after feature, I'm pretty excited to see what is to come. And Fitbit, please add the walking tracking back. I don't understand why you got rid of it. Please add it back to the Fitbit Charge 5. But that's kind of my final thoughts, and do I recommend it? Yes, I highly recommend you look into this product to see if it can enhance your results with your fitness down the road. And my final disclaimer, the tracking on the device is not 100% accurate, so I want you to know that. However, it can give you a good base to start from and work with as long as you're using the same device each and every day. So you can use those numbers and try to improve upon them using that device to see if you are going in the right direction. But with that, if you haven't checked out my Fitbit Charge 4 video in the past of why I like that device to see if that's better for you in your training versus the Fitbit Charge 5, make sure you check out that video here, and I will see you all in the next video. Be fit and game on.